four of these defendants, they all sit over here at this L-shaped table. They sit over here and they are convicted because last week 12 of you went back there and you came back with a just and a true verdict convicting them, and they sit there in their guilt. They are convicted. Convicted conspirators, convicted killers. They are convicted murderers.
All that crying that Sean Gathright did before, you can kick them tears on out the door. Let's go.
This discussion that was going on between Isaiah Chance and the victim in this case, Charles Jones. And what happens after that communication between them? That's what happens. Sean Gathright's phone has communication from his co-defendant Rashad Murphy's phone at approximately 11:18 hours. And shortly after that recording was obtained by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office at 22:36 hours of Isaiah Chance arguing with Charles Jones. You remember his words. Hey, Julio, how's your foot doing? Make sure, this is out of Rashad Murphy's mouth. Make sure, brah, in a good headspace, before he go with his move, we got bigger shit to tend to. They ain't worth an inward energy right now. That's directed at who? That's directed at his teammate, Sean Gathright. And what does Mr. Gathright do? 17 days before this murder happens, he likes that. He likes it. And then he replies, I ain't heard from bro today, but I'm going to check in with him. And then Rashad Murphy texts back, he probably not going to pick up. He on IG letting these N-words get him out of character. He turned up on that MF right now. And then Mr. Gathright, damn, all right, let me see what's up. So what does that tell us? That tells us that the plan was already in place more than 17 days before. This plan had been birthed, hatched, and formulated before June 6th. Before June 6th. This conspiracy and this premeditation spoke to a much higher level of premeditation and spoke to a very, very cold-blooded motive, a planned execution. As Miss Doherty told you last week, this was a hit. This was a hit. This kind of advanced planning, where that evil and that type of wickedness to take somebody is dwelling in a person's heart, and in this case, a team of people, problem solving, making decisions about it, working their way through this, developing the plan as they go along. A plan to not just murder, but if necessary, inflict carnage. And we saw that in the evidence. They were going to take out 6, and they were going to take out whoever might be there that might be in 6, because why not? And anyone else standing around, anyone else that might get in the way, well, that's just collateral damage. Now, why is the state going back through the facts with you? Because in the aggravating factors that you're going to be instructed on in this case, we are relying on that evidence. We are relying, as you saw, solely on our evidence from the guilt phase of this trial. Now, we did present some evidence. That evidence goes to rebut their suggestions of mental health mitigation, which you have seen have completely been rebutted and completely disproven.
Whoa, that's that QR code, man. Y'all know what that is, man. They said no more 5. Nah, double that, double that, double that, double that. Put 10 to win. Thursday, swerve day, you feel me? Free cash, Ceddy, Nash, man. They said 10 in your account soon as you install it up on your phone and start playing today. Y'all know what free cash do, right? All right, we ain't got to discuss that. Go ahead and don't be an Adrian Broner, man. Don't be a hater, man. Do your thing, man. Start playing games and figure out how you can win and spin on this Thursday. I'll catch y'all with this content. He's showing how basically all them tears and all I'm innocent and all that crap and everything, how it truly does not apply to Mr. Gathright. Because at the end of the day, they said he spun in Mississippi. They said, bro, you the one who basically shot at Julio Foolio before and put the bullets in his foot. So all that I'm innocent. Man, 3 strikes and you're out of there. Roll it.
They fired that Mr. Rashad Murphy utilized. He provided the modification to that weapon and manipulated the weapon so that there wouldn't be shell casings left. Not this time. Because you remember, back in October of 23, in the first attack on Charles Jones, they were able to match shell casings from that scene to the shell casings found when these officers stopped Mr. Gathright. Those shell casings. And of course, Mr. Gathright provided ammunition as well as the rifles. So I want to talk to you about this. I don't have audio on this, but I just want you to watch for a few minutes what is occurring in this screen-recorded video on his iCloud. Look at that time, 8:30, 8:40. That's a work day before the murder happens. That's 8 hours before the murder happens. And we know that this defendant, look at the problem solving right there in real time in that evidence, the decision making going on from, as Raul Benasco told us, a very mature defendant who can take care of himself. Look at him going through. And then we're going to see him start using the multiple filters. A property on the water, a property with this many rooms, a property that has a pool, a property with a barbecue, trying to figure this out. This evidence, in and of itself, is overwhelming premeditation. This just drips with premeditation. It's saturated with it. And it goes on. You remember in the trial when we played this for you, this goes on for minutes and minutes and minutes of tenacious, goal-oriented, purpose-driven behavior by this defendant. And what was the whole purpose of this? Was he looking for an Airbnb? Was he looking to rent a property? Was he doing anything of any kind of productivity? No. He's trying to find their prey. He's trying to find Charles Jones, their target, desperately trying to find him, actively trying to find him. That phone's not moving itself. That's his fingers doing that. Searching, looking. Now the filtering. When you're considering the weight of this aggravating factor and you're comparing it and weighing it against a significant mitigator that he was 18, this is what you need to look at. When you're assessing the value and quality that this was a cold, calculated, and premeditated murder. And remember, your considerations are to each individual defendant as far as their sentence. It's an individual sentence. But because this is conspiracy, because they acted as a team, a lot of this evidence, you got to look at it as a whole. You got to look at it as a whole. Every one of them, this cold, calculated, premeditated aggravator applies to each of them. This alone, this is enough premeditation to convict 1,000 people of first-degree premeditated murder. But it doesn't end there, because at 1:30, this defendant is not done hunting and searching for Mr. Jones. Now he's going to utilize a technique, a honeypot. He's going to use a honeypot technique, if you've ever heard of that term. A honeypot, a lure. He's going to try to lure and get that information by luring it out of someone, by using this pretty young girl, Kyla, who unbelievably goes along with this. I need you to text Fat Boy. We never know who Fat Boy is. It's probably Xavier Edwards. About what? As I need you to text Fat Boy and tell him you're trying to pull up about trying to see him tonight. You know I'm gone. I've been FaceTiming him while I'm out. She doesn't really understand at first. He in Tampa right now. Make it seem like you know he's there. He had a B&B with 6. Be like, what's WYA? Where are you at? I want to pull up. I'm drunk and trying to F. Never mind. Then she says, we at Tier the club.
So they're about to talk to y'all about the creeping, the stalking, like a freaking lion out there. Y'all remember Lion King, right? When the dad was trying to teach him how to pounce and all that crap. Bro, this part right here, I believe this is damn near part of the reason. I say about 50% of the, well, we'll say 40% because it was 10% of the shit you just seen. Because the rest of these guys, they already done. Well, probably not Isaiah Chance, but we'll talk about that at the end because this is an 8-hour thing. We already know the two Murphy guys, they're out of there. But listen to how he talks about them stalking.
Hotel. We know from the evidence, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to specifically address Mr. Gathright, because I know you all have concerns about Mr. Gathright. He was 18 years old. The state's never hid from that fact. Is that a mitigating factor? Absolutely, it's a mitigating factor. And it's up to each of you to decide how much weight you want to give that. But we need to look at what Mr. Gathright did, and we need to look at how he conducted himself in this early morning, well past loading that Impala. That's Mr. Gathright driving that Impala. And you remember, the assault team never would have been able to find that hotel if Mr. Chance and Miss Andrews hadn't have followed the victims, stayed just far enough behind and tailing them so they weren't detected, but able to see where they were going and relay that. Because Mr. Gathright, coordinating with his co-conspirator in this extremely premeditated plot, went directly to where the victim and his entourage had already gone. They had already pulled into the home to suites when Mr. Gathright was nowhere to be seen. Mr. Gathright immediately navigates that Impala around the north end of that hotel, passing all of those cars in that parking lot, passing all of the filled parking spots as he went around the north through that complex, around the Holiday Inn and back around to the west side. Now what we see in these photographs is Mr. Gathright navigating that car and making sure to do a three-point turn so he doesn't reveal their presence in this car that they have hidden. Now, if you go back to Truth 18, which I kind of skipped over, you remember Mr. Chance, the surveillance team. He gets out with Miss Andrews because they're just a young couple, and they can get closer and make closer observation and give that intelligence to the strike team, the hit team, the assault team. Mr. Gathright's driving the Impala. He parks across the street, or parks, right next to the strip mall where Truth 18 is. But as they're getting ready to leave, and they're getting information that he must have been receiving, Mr. Gathright repositions across the street and pulls up to that stop sign. And one thing you may have seen in the evidence, he stops and then he creeps forward so that he can see around that corner and see the entourage and see the victim's car. You heard Detective Ramos, this detective who did this incredible job and sat on the stand as a true encyclopedia of this case, telling you it is his opinion they were getting ready to possibly try an assault or to follow. But he gets there and he's also now part of the surveillance, and he's staging, waiting. Here in the hotel parking lot, he is taking the precautions. He goes down, and then he turns the car around and comes back without going around that corner or breaking the plane where they could be seen. He goes up around the corner. There he goes past the Tesla. They park. And then you have to think, there's no way they were driving around Tampa in June with hoodies and masks over their face for 4 hours. Because you remember, this starts at around 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and this is now 4:30 in the morning, 3.5 hours at least. So they had to kit up, get their hoodies on, pull these masks or gaiters or whatever they're using to cover their faces. Mr. Gathright has to retrieve that AR-15. And now he's handling it, and they're running, and they're acting as a team. These three individuals that are the assault team. And as I said, Rashad Murphy, or Davion Murphy, with his ski mask on, with only eye holes showing, with the 300 blackout, crouched down, making himself unobtrusive, trying to make sure that they conceal their presence. Because this was all predicated and designed around an ambush. And you remember the state telling you in opening statements that they brought fire supremacy? That was part of the plan. That was part of this, to bring overwhelming firepower to this situation, because they weren't going to let Charles Jones get away. Not this time. Not this time. They were going to take him. He was not going back to Jacksonville. He was going to stay here in Tampa. So they bring 3 shooters with high-powered rifles and all of this firepower. In a few minutes, I'm going to talk to you about another aggravating factor that deals with that.
So for somebody who didn't know nothing about nothing and try to act like this, I think what Sean Gathright tried to do was pretend that he was smarter than everybody else. You done been to all these spaces, all these places. You done been to Okinawa, Japan. Man, shout out to all my Marines. They know what's up out there, bro. I heard crazy, crazy stories. But either way it go, bro, you have to think to yourselves, right? Everybody watching this. Damn, bro, Nash. Okay, so they saying he scoped it out and all this shit. Well, maybe he was looking for the Airbnb and that was his job and somebody told him to do that. All right, cool. But y'all gonna have a hard freaking time trying to win this one over with the jury when I'm gonna be fair. He's the one who killed Julio Foolio based off of visual evidence. I don't think you can dispute this.
Look at the purposeful, intentional behavior of Mr. Gathright here before Mr. Murphy appears up here, Davion. This perfect coordinated attack. He gets hit by, runs into the tree, almost falls down, turns, continues to fire rounds into that car. Now they're both firing into it. Almost perfect timing. And now Mr. Gathright is still firing. And look at where he's firing. He's firing to the north, northwest, towards that Charger. But just look at the tenacity. That is purpose-driven behavior. This was something that had been in their hearts and minds, the point I'm trying to make, for weeks, for days. To murder someone, to take someone's life. And you see this overwhelming firepower. There was no consideration for anyone else in that area. None whatsoever. If they hit some 6 Block members, that's all the better. And anyone who else, and this is another thing. When they're coming out of teasers or Truth 18, Mr. Gathright sitting over there at the stop sign. He sees the size of that entourage. He sees how many people are involved. He knows how many people are in those cars.
That DA was cold and calculated. He rebutted everything about the whole mental stuff and everything as far as Davion Murphy and everybody and all that shit goes and all that stuff and everything. And he basically eviscerates the F out of that. I'm just going to be all the way authentic with y'all. All the mental shit and all that stuff, he just basically speaks plain English. Like, oh, he had all this shit? Well, he had a job, he had this, he had that, so he obviously was that way. But I ain't going to lie. Isaiah Chance, he might. Now, he laid out the point where, you know, they was basically stalking and texting and doing all this shit and everything. But he talks about Isaiah Chance making sure that the guns was loaded, making sure that a whole bunch of shit was taken care of because they were. And at the end of the effing day, the only person who's going to get off and come home is Alicia Andrews. She'll have a room right there, you know. You know. But nah, on a serious note, it's a wrap, bro. Isaiah Chance is the only one who has a chance at basically not getting killed by the state. Everybody else is fried. In my opinion, they're going 3 for 4. They're going 75%, and that's going to be that. I don't think that the DA made a strong enough point, but it wouldn't surprise me. I'm going to be fair. It would not surprise me if all 4 of them ended up getting a death penalty. I don't think... I don't see all that crying and shit and all that stuff. Them tears just walked away. Now, we're going to hear closing from them tomorrow, meaning his goddamn lawyers and shit, and we'll see how good it is. But as it stands right now, bruh, it's hard to beat that shit that they just said. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts on this one. We're like 100 subscribers away from 13K, so make sure you subscribe today and comment on every video and like every video. We might have a surprise at the 290K mark, man. Maybe. Wait. Click right here to see how, oh shit, Ben 10 was shot. They're trying to pop that boy's tires on that goddamn thing. Click right here for that video or click right here for the playlist to get you through your day, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. My bad.